Listen closely, for this is a story that still whispers through our villages at night. A story about peace that came too easily, and the child who paid the price for noticing. Some say it happened long ago. Others say it happened still, wherever desperate hearts stop asking questions. This is what the elders remember, what the drums taught us to forget. The night Amara stayed awake. Every other child in the village slept like stones dropped into deep water. No crying, no turning, no dreams that made them call out for their mothers. The silence was so complete it felt unnatural, like the world had stopped breathing. Amara sat up on her mat, listening. That was when she heard it. A sound like distant thunder, but slower, steady, patient. Boom, boom, boom. It came from somewhere beneath the earth, pulsing through the ground and into her bones. She crawled to her mother's side and shook her shoulder. Nothing. Her mother's chest rose and fell in perfect rhythm, matching the drums Amara heard. She checked her younger brother, her cousins, even a baby who always cried at night. All sleeping, all breathing together, all following a beat Amara could not escape. The drums stopped suddenly. The silence that followed felt heavier than the sound itself. Before the peace came, the village knew only exhaustion. Mothers walked like ghosts through their days, eyes red from sleepless nights. Children cried until their voices broke. Fathers sat outside their huts staring at nothing, too tired to work, too worried to rest. The nights were the worst. Babies screamed. Fevers came without warning. Nightmares woke the young and old alike, leaving them gasping in the dark. People prayed to ancestors, to spirits, to anyone who might listen. They did not ask for wealth. They did not ask for rain or good harvest. They asked only for rest. One full night without fear. One morning without waking to tears. The desire was simple, innocent, desperate. And then, on the worst night of all, when even the strongest began to break, something answered. The very next evening, every child fell asleep before the sun fully set. Deep, complete, undisturbed. Everyone rested, except Amara. No one remembered exactly when the stranger arrived. It was during those terrible nights when sleep felt like a distant memory. She was a woman, quiet and unremarkable, with kind eyes and a voice that seemed to soften the air around her. She walked through the village carrying nothing but a small cloth bag. She did not ask for food or shelter. She simply sat with the exhausted mothers and listened to their troubles. Rest will come, she said gently, without promises or explanations. Rest will come soon. Then she left before dawn, disappearing down the forest path like mist burned away by morning sun. That very night, the children slept as if carried into another world. No rituals had been performed, no offerings made, no bargain spoken aloud. The gift felt accidental, like mercy from a passing spirit. People whispered their gratitude but did not question the source. To question a blessing might chase it away. Days turned into weeks, and the deep sleep continued. Parents who had forgotten what it meant to feel rested now woke with clear eyes and steady hands. Tempers cooled, laughter returned. Work that once felt impossible became easy again. The village began to heal from the inside out, like a wound finally closing. But with healing came a new kind of fear. Not fear of the unknown, but fear of losing what had been given. Mothers checked on their sleeping children with trembling relief. Fathers worked harder, trying to deserve the peace. No one spoke of the time before, afraid that mentioning the suffering might summon it back. Gratitude turned into dependence. The village arranged its life around the sleep, guarding it like a fragile treasure. And still, every night, Amara lay awake, listening to drums no one else could hear, counting the beats that grew steadily closer. At first, the adults reassured Amara kindly. "It is only your imagination, child," her mother said, smoothing her hair. "You are remembering the old fears. Let them go." Her father nodded. "You are safe now. We are all safe. Try to sleep." But Amara could not sleep. The drums were too loud, too real, too deliberate in their rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. She described the sound to her grandmother, who listened with worried eyes but said nothing helpful. She told her cousins, who laughed nervously and changed the subject. She even whispered to the baby, hoping anyone might hear what she heard. But the baby only smiled and drifted back into flawless sleep. The village began to see Amara differently, not with cruelty, but with uncomfortable pity. "Why can you not be grateful like the others?" An aunt asked. "Peace has finally come. Stop looking for problems." That night, the drums started earlier, before darkness fully settled, and they followed Amara wherever she walked. Amara tried to wake them. She tried everything. She shook her mother hard enough to make her head move, but her mother's eyes stayed closed. She shouted her brother's name directly into his ear. Nothing. She pinched her cousin's arm, then harder, then hard enough to leave a mark. The cousin did not flinch. This sleep was not natural. It was not rest. It was something else entirely, something that held him in a grip stronger than death. Amara noticed details the others could not see. Every sleeper's chest rose and fell in perfect time. Boom, inhale. Boom, exhale. Boom, pause. Their breathing matched the drums exactly, as if their bodies were instruments being played by invisible hands. When the drums stopped suddenly, everyone in the village exhaled at once. The sound was soft but unmistakable, like wind passing through a single throat. Amara stood alone in the center of the huts, surrounded by people who were present but unreachable. She had never felt more awake, or more abandoned. The village held a small celebration to honor their renewed strength. Farmers brought the best yams. Women cooked jollof rice that filled the air with warmth. Children who once cried through meals now ate and laughed without interruption. It felt like a festival, but quieter, more grateful. Amara sat at the edge of the gathering, watching. An elder approached her gently. "Child, you look troubled even on a day of joy. Why?" Amara hesitated, then spoke. "I hear drums at night. They are getting closer." The elder smiled, the kind of smile adults give children who imagine monsters. Some people resist peace because they are used to suffering. Do not be one of them. Amara stopped listening for trouble. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, the drums began before full darkness arrived. Boom, boom, boom. They no longer waited for night. They followed Amara to the stream, to the cooking fire, even into her grandmother's hut. No matter where she went, the rhythm stayed with her, patient and inescapable. Small things began to disappear, not objects, but pieces of memory. Amara's cousin forgot her own sister's name for a moment, laughing it off as tiredness. A mother could not recall what her child looked like as a baby. An uncle stood confused in the middle of the path, unsure where he'd been walking or why. These moments passed quickly, dismissed as harmless forgetfulness. But Amara noticed. Time itself felt wrong. Nights passed too fast. Mornings arrived unfinished, as if hours had been skipped. Children woke happy but hollow, unable to remember their dreams or even whether they had dreamed at all. Amara began to understand. The drums were not just sound. They were filling the spaces where memory should be. Each beat replaced something real with something borrowed. The village was losing pieces of itself, trading awareness for peace. And no one noticed because the sleep was too sweet, too complete. Amara tried to hold on to every detail, every face, every name. But even she felt the edges of her thoughts growing softer. The drums were inside her now too. A kind-hearted aunt decided Amara needed isolation. Perhaps the child cannot sleep because of all the noise around her, she suggested. Let her rest alone, away from the others. That night, Amara was taken to a small hut at the village edge, far from her family. The silence there was thick and heavy. For the first time in weeks, she felt tired. Her eyes grew heavy. The drums faded to a distant whisper. She laid down and drifted into sleep. But the dream that came was not rest. She walked through an endless forest where the ground pulsed like a living heartbeat. Beneath her feet, thousands of drums beat in unison, buried deep in the earth. Shadowy figures march in rhythm, their faces blank, their steps perfectly timed. She tried to run, but her feet moved in time with the beat. Boom, step, boom, step. She could not escape. Amara woke gasping, her heart pounding. The drums had not stopped. They had only moved inside her. The isolation worked for everyone else, though. They slept deeper than ever. Amara began to map the rhythm in her mind. She counted beats, tracked patterns, noticed when the sound grew louder or softer. The drums were not random. They aligned with everything. Morning footsteps matched the beat. Heartbeats followed the tempo. Even the way people breathed moved in time with the invisible rhythm. It was as if the entire village had become part of one great instrument, played by hands no one could see. Amar realized something terrible. The beats were counting down. Each night, the rhythm grew shorter, tighter, more insistent. It was not endless. It was approaching something, a completion, an arrival. She tried to explain this to her grandmother, the one person who still listened. The drums are counting, grandmother. They're almost finished. Her grandmother's face went pale, but she said nothing. That night, the old woman slept more deeply than anyone. The next morning, she did not remember Amara's warning. The drums had taken that too. One night, Amara heard a voice join the drums. It came from her uncle, who slept near the fire. His lips moved, whispering words in a language Amara did not recognize. The rhythm of his speech matched the drum beat perfectly. Boom, word. Boom, word. Boom, silence. His eyes stayed closed. His face remained peaceful. But his voice carried something ancient and hollow. In the morning, Amara asked him what he had said. Her uncle looked confused. I said nothing, child. I slept well, better than I have in years. He smiled, but the smile did not reach his eyes. Amara understood then with cold certainty. The sleep was not a gift. It was payment. The village had bargained something away. Without knowing it, the drums were not asking for permission. They were collecting what had already been promised. And the only reason Amara could see this truth was because she had been chosen to stay awake, to witness, to carry the knowledge no one else wanted. That night, the drums beat so close she felt them in her teeth. Amara considered staying silent. Life would be easier if she stopped listening, stopped noticing, stopped warning people who did not want to hear. She could close her eyes and let the drums take her too. For a moment, she tried. She laid down on her mat, forced her breathing to slow, and waited for sleep. The drums began to fade. The rhythm softened, as if rewarding her decision. A strange warmth spread through her chest, like approval. She felt herself drifting, finally, toward the peace everyone else had found. But then she saw her mother's face, her brother's laugh, her grandmother's hands. If she slept, who would remember them when the drums finished their work? The thought yanked her back. Her eyes opened. The warmth vanished. The drums returned, louder and angrier than before, pounding so hard the ground beneath her shook. Amara sat up, trembling. The drums did not punish her for trying to escape. They punished her for choosing to stay. She had refused the deal. Now the cost would be hers alone. That same night, the village elder, a man respected for his wisdom and calm, woke screaming. His wife held him as he gasped for breath, eyes wide with terror. I dreamed, he whispered. I saw the past. In his dream, he had walked through the village as it once was, generations ago, a time of terrible suffering, a time when sickness, hunger, and fear ruled every home. The people had gathered and prayed desperately for relief, and something answered, a voice without a body, a presence without a name. It offered them peace, rest, safety, but the cost was never spoken aloud, only delayed. The elder saw an agreement made in silence, signed with exhaustion, and buried beneath years of forgetfulness. The drums were not new. They had always been there, waiting for the debt to come due. The elder woke knowing the truth, but when morning came, doubt crept in. Was it a dream or a memory? Was it real or just fear? He told only fragments of the story, softening the edges to avoid panic. The elder gathered the village and spoke carefully. Long ago, our ancestors made a bargain during desperate times. They sought peace, and peace was given. But I fear there was a cost we have forgotten. The people listened politely, nodding, but their faces showed no alarm. If the cost were real, elder, would it not have been collected by now? A farmer asked. Others agreed. We have rested for weeks without trouble. Surely this is a blessing, not a curse. The elder could not argue against their comfort. He himself was not entirely sure. The dream had felt real, but dreams often do. He said no more. That night, the drums answered. They beat louder than ever, so close to the surface that the earth itself seemed to pulse. Children in their sleep whispered the same phrase over and over, words none of them knew when awake. Amara listened from her corner, tears streaming down her face. The truth had been spoken and dismissed in the same breath. Now it would be buried again. Only this time, the cost would not wait. Desperate, Amara's family decided to take her far from the village. Perhaps the sound is tied to this place, her father reasoned. If we take her beyond the forest, she will find peace. They walked for hours, past familiar paths, past a river, past the furthest farms. They reached a place Amara had never seen, where the trees grew thick and the air smelled different. Her father built a small fire. Rest here tonight, daughter. You are safe. Amara lay down, hopeful. The drums were faint now, distant as thunder on the horizon. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. But then she felt it. Her heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. It matched the rhythm exactly. The drums were not in the ground. They were in her body. They had traveled with her, inside her, woven into the very pulse of her blood. She could not outrun them because they were part of her now. When they returned to the village the next morning, everyone else slept deeper than before. Distance meant nothing. The drums followed awareness, not place. Time began to blur. Days felt shorter. Conversations repeated. Amara would speak to her mother in the morning, then again at noon, and her mother would respond with the exact same words as if hearing the question for the first time. Children grew quieter, their laughter becoming an echo of what it once was. Adults struggled to recall why they had started a task or where they had been the day before. The village was fading from the inside, like a drawing slowly erased. Memory itself was being taken. Amara realized the drums were not collecting lives. They were grinding down awareness, one sleeper at a time, until nothing remained but hollow bodies moving through routine. Soon, no one would remember enough to resist. No one would recall there had ever been anything to resist. Amara clung to every detail, repeating names and faces in her mind like a prayer. But even she felt herself slipping. How many days had passed? How long had she been awake? The drums pounded in answer. They knew. They were almost finished. The elder finally spoke the full truth. He gathered the village at dusk, his voice shaking. The drums demand consciousness. Those who sleep surrender pieces of themselves to maintain the peace. The one who stays awake carries the burden of knowing for now. People stared at him, confused and frightened. What does that mean, elder? A woman asked. It means, he said slowly, that the sleep is not free. It is borrowed, and awareness is the price being paid. A long silence followed. Then a father spoke. But if we stop sleeping, the suffering returns. The crying, the fear, the exhaustion that nearly killed us. Others nodded. We cannot go back to that. The elder had no answer. The choice was impossible. Wake everyone and face chaos, or let the drums finish their work. No path led to safety. That night, as the village debated without resolution, the drums beat faster than ever before. Impatient, hungry, close. Amara felt them in her chest, her throat, her skull. The rhythm was no longer outside her. It was her. The argument continued for days, whispered in corners and shouted across fires. Some said they should wake everyone, and to sleep, face whatever came. Others said that was madness. Look at how strong we are now, a farmer insisted. Look at our children. They are healthy, happy. Why would we destroy that? A mother added, my baby finally stopped crying. Do you want to go back to that nightmare? Guilt spread to the village like sickness, heavier than fear. Parents looked at their sleeping children and could not imagine waking them. The cost was real, yes, but distant, abstract. The suffering before had been immediate and unbearable. Amara watched them argue, knowing the truth. The choice had already been made. It had been made the moment they accepted the first night of peace without question. The drums knew this too. That night, they beat so fast they sounded like rain. Amara pressed her hands over her ears, but it made no difference. The sound was inside her now, permanent, inescapable. A wise woman from a neighboring village was summoned. She performed a ritual, burning herbs and speaking old words over Amara. For a brief moment, the drums dulled. Amara gasped in relief, the first she had felt in weeks. "It is working," her mother whispered, hopeful. But the silence that followed was worse than the noise. It was thick, expectant, final, like the pause before a predator strikes. Amara's relief turned to dread. The drums had not weakened. They had only waited. When they returned, they were no longer distant. They were inside the huts, beneath the sleeping mats, woven into the walls. The entire village pulsed with the rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. The wise woman fled before dawn, refusing payment, refusing to speak of what she had sensed. "That is not a curse," she whispered to the elder before leaving. "That is a debt, and it will be paid." Amara knew then that no ritual, no prayer, no distance could stop what was coming. The drums had always been patient. Now, they were finished waiting. The final truth arrived like dawn, slow, inevitable, impossible to deny. The drums did not punish desperation. They rewarded it, temporarily. The village had borrowed peace in the future, and now the debt had come due. But payment required something specific. Not death, not suffering. Awareness. The one who stayed awake was not spared. They were chosen, marked. The drums did not need everyone to know. They only needed one to remember, one to witness, one to carry the weight of what had been traded away. Amara understood now why she had never slept. It was not punishment for being weak. It was her role in the bargain. Every village needed someone to hear the drums. Every generation needed a listener. Without one, the cycle could not continue. She was not the first. She would not be the last. The drums had been beating for generations, collecting awareness one child at a time, keeping the peace intact by ensuring someone always paid attention. And when that someone finally broke, another would be chosen. The burden would pass. The rhythm would continue. Forever. The drums slowed, their rhythm becoming a waiting pulse. Boom, boom, boom. The village sensed something shifting. The sleep felt lighter, less secure. Children stirred in their rest. Adults woke briefly before falling back under. The peace was unraveling at the edges. Amara felt the drums retreat slightly, as if testing her. She realized with cold horror, the burden could be transferred. All it required was someone else willing to listen, willing or desperate enough to take her place. Eyes began to shift subtly around the village, not with cruelty, but with calculation. A mother glanced at a neighbor's child. A father looked at his brother. An elder studied the young with quiet, guilty consideration. No one spoke the thought aloud, but it hung in the air like smoke. If someone else heard the drums, would Amara finally rest? The silence that followed was thick with unspoken bargains. The drums pulsed, patient. They had seen this before. They would see it again. Awareness. They seemed to say, always finds a new host. Greed makes sure of it. It started with a young boy named Kofi. He was Amara's age, curious and restless, always asking questions no one wanted to answer. One evening, he sat near her and asked, "What do the drums sound like?" Amara hesitated. She wanted to lie, to protect him, but the truth spilled out. They sound like heartbeats, like footsteps, like something patient and old, counting down to the end. Kofi listened, fascinated. That night, he lay awake deliberately listening. At first, he heard nothing. Then, faint, distant, undeniable, the rhythm began. Boom, boom, boom. He gasped, sitting up. His mother checked on him. "Sleep, Kofi. You are safe." But Kofi could not sleep. The drums were faint, but real. He heard them. And the moment he heard them, Amara felt the sound retreat from her slightly. For the first time in weeks, the pressure in her chest eased. She could breathe again. Relief flooded through her, warm and overwhelming. But so did horror. She had not warned him. She had described the drums. and he had listened willingly. She had passed the burden without meaning to. Or had she? The drums pulsed softly, almost gently. The cycle was preparing to continue. The final night arrived without announcement. The drums reached their ultimate rhythm, steady and absolute. Amara felt herself fading at last. The sound no longer fought her. It welcomed her. Her breathing slowed. Her heartbeat softened. Her eyes grew heavy for the first time since the piece began. She lay down on her mat, and the world blurred at the edges. Memory dissolved peacefully, like sugar in water. She forgot the suffering. She forgot the warning. She forgot why she had stayed awake. The drums carried her gently into the same deep sleep the others had known all along. Across the village, Kofi woke fully for the first time. His heart pounded in sync with the beat. The sound was no longer distant. It was inside him, around him, beneath him. He tried to wake his mother, shaking her hard, calling her name. She did not stir. He ran through the village, shouting, begging someone to hear him. But the sleepers slept on, untouched. The exchange had completed itself quietly, as it always did. The drums did not announce their work. They simply continued, patient, eternal, waiting for the next listener to emerge. Morning came calm and ordinary. The sun rose over the village, painting the huts in soft gold. Children laughed and played without trouble. Adults worked their fields with steady hands. No one looked tired. No one looked afraid. The peace held strong, as sweet and complete as ever. Amara woke rested for the first time in weeks, her face soft with relief. She smiled at her mother, who smiled back warmly. "You finally slept, my daughter," her mother said. Amara nodded, though she could not quite remember why she had been awake for so long. Something about drums? No, that did not make sense. She must have been imagining things. Across the village, Kofi sat alone, staring at the ground. His eyes were red. His hands trembled. He looked like someone who had seen something they could never unsee. When his mother asked if he was well, he only nodded, too tired to explain. That night, as darkness fell, the village slept deeply, except one. Kofi lay awake, listening. The drums were close now, so close he could feel them in his bones. He whispered into the dark, but no one answered. He was alone, just like Amara had been, and the cycle turned again. The story does not end. It only pauses, waiting. Night falls over the village, as it always does. Sleep arrives effortlessly, wrapping the people in warmth and silence. Somewhere one child lies awake. They hear a sound the others cannot, a rhythm that pulses beneath the earth. Boom, boom, boom. They will try to wake the others. They will fail. They will try to explain, to warn, to escape. None of it will matter. The drums do not stop. They do not punish. They only collect what was promised long ago. And when that child finally breaks, when awareness becomes too heavy to bear, another will take their place. The cycle will continue, patient as stone, endless as night. Because some opportunities are not doors. They are cages that close slowly, so you do not notice until the lock is already turned. The village sleeps in peace. The drums keep time. And somewhere in the dark, a new listener begins to count the beats. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm never stops. It only waits for the next to hear.